You still there?
Yep.
See me now?
No, I just was waiting for Hot Forge.
Well, apparently I'm streaming now, I don't know. Seems very bitty and a bit behind or something, I don't know. It says stream status per. I swear to God. It was so straightforward there a minute ago.
Here, I'm in.
Right, okay. It says it's live now.
See if I can see it. Hi.
Do you see me now?
Uh-huh.
Alright, okay. So I don't see anything on the screen at the minute, it's just this picture of the forges. It's really weird. Oh, I can see myself now. I seem to be a little bit behind on my screen, whatever. I don't know.
No, it's fine, Eamon.
Alright, well that'll do. Then I'll start setting up and just pretend it's working. Send me something on send me a message to see if the chat's working. Gonna light the forge anyway and see. Okay, I can see the chats now. Swear to God, they're not making it straightforward. See if I can make this right any bigger. Hi Suzanne, thank you. Yeah, that's good. That's good webcam. We're going to be full at the same time. Right, let's go avoid that later. And David, the thing was, it was working fine earlier on. It was absolutely 100%. If you'd have been, I was kind of messing about around 10 o'clock this morning trying to get this thing all, because I've never done before. And I just streamed it straight through YouTube. Fine, 100%. Went to just kind of set it up there at 12:30 because, oh, by the way, the new settings we have, you need to do it through a third party and you need to connect this. And holy crap, it was a nightmare, man. Well, hopefully it's working now. Hopefully it's working now. Anyway, so this is very weird for me. Usually when I'm chatting to people, like there's a face there, a face there, a face there, and I can kind of, you know, if I start to sound a bit boring, I'll see somebody's eyes glaze over and I'll go, okay, now I'll change it or I'll do something. But like seeing a wee circle and people chatting and the chat room is very strange. I guess it's a sign of the time. So I'll ramble a bit and meander a wee bit. Right. So, you guys, you tuned in early and always wondered how you light a forge. Some of you maybe haven't done it before. You think, here, come here. It's not that complicated. It's just like lighting a fire. Well, in a way it is, but unfortunately, it's not just like lighting a fire because what you're dealing with, coke. coal. Now it's partially burnt, which means it's not very easy to light because all the really burning stuff's already put out of it. So what that means is you have to have a really, really intense fire heating up the coal to get it going. So what I do is it's not a big firelighter, maybe a firelighter of that size. It's really with the embers on the sticks, getting them really hot and getting them sparking. So I get a wee firelighter and I pile on the sticks. You imagine like the bonfires at the 12, so you get pallet like that. Just my own personal way of doing it. That way it kind of piles up. Because you need plenty of sticks to get this going. Because you need the fire burning heavy and hard for a good 5-10 minutes for it to really capture, the heat and to get onto the coal and to turn the coal into that white colour that we need. Believe it or not, it's not the quickest way to light it. The quickest way would actually be with newspaper. The way you do it with a newspaper is you just get sheet after sheet after sheet and you pile it up into a really tight ball, okay, like that. And then what I do is then you let a wee bit hang over the edge and then you screw it really tight so it's like a real tight newspaper ball. Then what we do is we get a lighter, light it, and then you should be wearing a glove, something like this. And then just let it burn in your hand for a wee minute. Just up and going, and then you set it on top of where the forge is, and then you turn on the blower. And then what that should do is just make the flames go really big and really intense. Okay? And what that'll do then, you pile on the sticks from there, then that lights it up quicker. Why do I do it with a firelighter if it's slower? Well, usually what it means is, doing it with a firelighter, is I can walk away from it and do something else for a minute. I'm not constantly tending it and hoping it's going to light. I can just kind of pile up the wee sticks, do a wee bonfire, light it, up it goes. Unfortunately, you see at the minute, I should have just lit about 20 minutes ago, so all the smoke's cleared for us. But we've got a bit of a windy day here, the wind's kind of swirling all the way around. The chimneys haven't quite heated up, so you're seeing a lot of smoke. Okay. This is why I usually do this before my classes. Okay. So what I'm looking for is to hear that crackling starting to happen in the sticks, and hopefully I'll see a little flame as well. What that'll mean is I can it's ready to just put on the air. When I put on the air, you'll see a massive difference. Okay. So guys, if you're online, say hello, because we're kind of weird bit where we're waiting for the fire to light up. I know I told everybody 1 o'clock, so we're just kind of killing time before we really start the proper thing. So I'll kind of be bouncing back and forth to the wee chat function to see what you guys are saying. But if you're there, say hello. Hello, Suzanne. Hello, Davis. Hello, Aaron. Let me see. See who's online. Well, 12 people so far. That's more than my usual class. Oh, I'm hearing a few cracks. Don't want to do it too early. If you do it too early, I'll blow itself out. Fairly obvious, because you've got bouncy castle blower next door blowing air through. It blows air through. It's just going to be too early. I'll just blow the thing out. Very simple. I hear it now. Give it a go, will we? weird thing that happens when you're out on the forge. You've probably never seen it before. Is sometimes you see smoke going down. See, when the smoke goes down, what's happening there is the air is heavier and colder above it than it is below. And it's just the weight of the smoke that's just going. Well, that's kind of a weird thing. So what we need to do now, I've only kind of put coal over like half the forge. I put over half the forge. What's that's allowing for its flames here to kind of heat up the chimney a little bit. So if it heats up the chimney, heats up the air, and then what will happen is, as you can see, it starts to draw that wee bit better. Okay. See the difference as soon as the flames went away? Honestly guys, usually at this point I leave the room. Usually I walk away, leave it, let it burn. Go away, sort out the coffee, tea, let it burn away, and when I come back again, it's all lit up, all smoke's cleared away, and we're all ready to forge. And you know what, I might actually do that, I might go pop in for a toilet, go back out again, while that's lighting up. It's not 1 o'clock yet, so alright, back 2 minutes guys. If you're here, say hello. If you're in the chat room, say hello. So I see a few questions popping up there already, which is here. This is all about. So a wee chat, having a conversation, just making contact with people who've been here before and whatnot. So the first one I seen there was, would a hairdryer do for a blower? Yeah, I've got bouncy castle blowers next door. I've got small little centrifugal fans down there, another one in my forge next door as well. In theory, yeah. If you can't get anything else, yeah, take out the heating element, obviously. Maybe not obviously, but take it out. Yeah, it's a steady flow of air. You know, if you had a small child doing this, that would probably do as well. It's as simple as that, really. So yeah, hair dryer would do. But my question to you would be, why? You know, unless you've got one lying about that maybe you're like losing the hair a wee bit, maybe you don't need the hair dryer as much anymore, and you can use it to scrap. But if you can afford 20-30 quid, you can get a bouncy castle blower off eBay. 50 quid or so will get you a small centrifugal fan. which will, I think is great because they're really, really quiet, and they give a good steady flow of air, and they're designed to run long and over a long space of time. So, yeah, it would do. Yeah, that would work. Whatever it is, whatever works, as long as you get air through it. Yeah. What else have we got here? Hi Keith, good to hear from you, mate. You doing well? Where do I get my Coke? For those who don't understand, or that's a weird question to ask, where do you get your Coke? But it's not the white stuff, it's the black stuff. It's the partially burnt coal. It's ideal for blacksmithing. Technically, if you're setting up a forge, don't use the fact you can't get access to Coke as your as a reason not to do it. Okay, because you can use coal, you can use anthracite, you can use use charcoal. Also, you can use gas forges and all that stuff as well. Where I get it from local coal man. I'll be honest with you, a guy called Niall O'Connor from down in Glenarth. He gets it from Black Emerald, who actually supply most of the coal suppliers in Northern Ireland. So, what I'd advise you to do if you're setting yourself up, ring your local coal man and ask him, do you have any Coke? And he'll probably say no because he didn't have it in his shed. But then the next question you should ask him is do you get from Black Emerald? And if they do, ask them, well, can you get some Coke from them for me? And if they're too lazy, if they don't want to do that, then contact my guy Niall. Or if it's a bit of a trek for you, or he won't deliver to you, then Crossing Fire Supplies do bags of Coke as well. Slightly different, slightly smaller, slightly finer, but it's pretty much the same stuff. Coke's Coke, some's bigger, smaller, whatever. Some burns cleaner than others. The whole point of Coke really is so it burns nice and clean. So it burns nice and clean, so clean fire, cleaner work. So if you've ever welded something before, if you're ever worked with a forge, worked with a welder and there's like paint over the steel or whatever, you'll know that if there's anything in the way, it makes for a dirtier weld or a dirtier finish. Well, you're still working with coal or with steel here, so you want to keep it clean as well. Coke is already clean. Now, instead of you can use coal, you can use anthracite. Well, anthracite, great, goes to a nice, good heat, and you can fire weld something with it, but it's a lot gassier. You can see the smoke and that's going on here. You want to try to avoid that as best you can. Okay. Honestly, I wouldn't normally be hearing this. All this smoke and stuff, I'll probably had that burn out, but I started chatting, so I don't want to just walk away on you. So, anthracite's okay, but I find you have to maintain the fire a lot when you use anthracite. What that means is, when it burns, it doesn't kind of burn away, let the ash fall to the bottom. What it does, it kind of breaks up into tiny little bits, and then gradually starts to choke the fire. So you find it's easier lit because there's a lot more nasty stuff in it. But we find that fire gets smaller, and you constantly maintain it and clear out the fire. It's a bit of a pain. Coke's a lot better for that. So that's why I use it. Okay. So what else we got here? David Stevenson, any more knife? That's a funny story actually. I was actually doing a bladesmithing weekend course here, and a couple of travellers turned up at the door teaching people how to make knives. He looked at me dead in the eye and went, yeah, but these are really good knives. And he got a wee bit of bad manners to read, but it was a very, very funny story. But you couldn't made it up. I swear, I nearly paid to turn up to every weekend course just for all that. It's very funny. Okay, yes. As I say, guys, any more questions? That's when I'm walking across there. I'm actually checking to see if anybody's written anything. So I'm just going to go across and check if everything's streaming okay. If it's not, let me know. Okay. watching. Ooh. No, it's not. It's probably not like anything the rest of the YouTube channels you watch. I've got thousands of people watching. But like what this here is really about today is just really for me to have a chance to say hello to the guys who've come to the classes over the years, the regulars and whatnot, and have a wee chat because we're all feeling a wee bit isolated and a wee bit stir crazy. So if you are there, don't lurk, say hello, okay? We don't have to have a big conversation with you, just be nice to know that you're all doing okay. Whatnot. So. Getting there. Kathleen. Hey Kathleen. Kathleen's asking there where we located. We are very, very fortunate to be in Glenravel, which is the 10th Glen in the Glens Band. I don't know, Kathleen, where you're from. I presume you're from Northern Ireland and you've seen this link. So how did we get here? Well, basically we're about 3/4 of an hour away from Belfast. You're taking the main road to the Ballymena, and then you take it from Ballymena, you take the road out to Cushendall. It's about 3/4 of an hour, half an hour drive. Very easy to get to. It's a stunning location, part of the area of outstanding natural beauty. This place here is my granddad's old milking parlour. So that's hence the name, Hot Milk Forge. So I'm not that far away. Hi, thanks, Luke. You've got what we do is love a try. I'm trying. We always want smart arse, okay? So that's James, crazy cook. James comes regularly to my evening classes on a Thursday night. He's making a beautiful set of wee knives, which unfortunately the process of making that can interrupt because there's a COVID stuff, so hopefully we'll see that finished when all this passes us. So I have this thing, okay, so when you go on YouTube and all this sort of crack, you see all the Americans talk about the forge weld. Okay, so I was always taught, when I was learning this crack over in Coldhamworth Forge in Lincolnshire many moons ago, it's called a fire weld. Okay, and this part of the word we call it fire weld. Forge weld is what the Americans call it. You know, so it's kind of it's like calling your boot and your car, your trunk and stuff like that. It's just a different way of doing it. Just a wee bit of a silly thing I do. When people say to forge, can you show me how to forge weld? What that usually tells me is they've watched a few YouTube videos. The guys on YouTube refer to forge weld. You can tell if there's an English guy or someone from this part of the world who's referring to that technique on YouTube as a forge weld. They've either learned themselves on YouTube or they're maybe only in their early 20s and they're involved in all that YouTube world and more so than they are with the guys that talk from. So any of the other guys from this part of the world who refer to weld with the fire, they call it a fire weld. As far as I'm aware, but there's always guys that are different. Dev Turtle, great name. So, is a refurbished anvil likely to have a softer top? Yeah, probably. And the reason why is it kind of gives you more of a bounce, which basically means you use less energy to do the same job. So we go ding, you're not having to force it down the same. Now, I haven't been smithing for 17, 18 odd years. Honestly, the difference that makes, if you're swinging a hammer all day, every day, you may save yourself maybe 5-10 minutes worth of work with a really good anvil. That's over a space of a day. To me, hard metal surface, if it's a little bit soft, so what? You know what I mean? You can do repair it again and tidy it up. Make sure it's relatively smooth, relatively tidy. You'll get the job done. It's not a reason not to buy an animal, or it's not a reason to buy a really expensive animal. It's got a really nice feel on it and all that there. You know, like, if you can get an out battered one, repair it with a MIG weld or an arc weld and smooth it down, and happy days. You've got an animal. You know, as I say, that bounce, that ring is not. It's a tire kicker thing. To be honest with you, it's not really as important. It's not technically wrong, but it's completely overrated. Okay, if that makes sense. There's always one. Biggest pair of shoes for the wife. No, come here. I wouldn't want to say nasty things about your. Okay, so I refer to shoes. I'm not a cobbler, so I wouldn't know how to make a set of women's shoes. But believe it or not, I did get a distinction in my fashion module, my foundation course in art. So maybe there's something in there. I could make a pair of women's shoes. And if you're trying to be smart and refer to horses' shoes, I could make a horseshoe. I wouldn't know how to put it on a horse, and I couldn't name you all the different types of horseshoe. I couldn't even name you all the different types of horses. I wouldn't know. For me, it can move, so you can put it wherever way you want, make whatever you want. But farrier, shoeing a horse is a completely different skill to this. Right, just fire that in. Okay. Guys, loving the chat, so we'll try to keep that going as going along. Now the fire's starting to light up a bit. You can tell, you can see the flames starting to come up. I like to get it go a little bit. I like to let it go for a little bit longer, so the fire is more established. So it's nicer and cleaner and hotter in the middle of that fire. And hopefully a lot of the wood's all burnt away and it's all being up in here. Also, if you light up your fire and you don't let it establish itself and you start poking it, it'll die fairly handy. Well, believe it or not, like a quieter fire, a gentler fire, it takes time to build up. It means for a cleaner fire, which will mean for you a much more successful work. The classic thing that people do is when they set up the first forge, they blast it full of air, so you can see the orange flames flying out of it, and then they're putting the steel in, and the thing, because it's so hot, it's so extreme, it's a better fire. It's not quite what you want. Okay, so I'll talk a wee bit about the fire in a minute, but what I'm going to tell you is what we're going to be talking about today in between questions and whatnot. We'll keep it really basic because, to be honest, guys, I'm kind of winging this a little bit. So what the plan is just to make poker in a wee rink. Okay, very, very simple. Okay, now why did I choose that? Well, the main reason is you kind of a lot of stuff going on here, and I didn't want to get it too complicated and have to think about the technique too much. But also, for a lot of you guys who are on this here, you may have never smithed before. You never understand. You don't have a full understanding of what it's all about. So making a poker is a good little stepping stone to imagine what it is. For you guys who maybe come to a few of my classes, or maybe you guys who've done a wee bit of this before, got your own forwards and whatnot, you maybe underestimated the importance of the basics. You maybe underestimated how important it is to get the fundamentals correct. So somebody actually messaged me during the week there, asked me could I talk about blacksmith joinery. And what that is just joining the steel together without using electric welds and stuff like that, like tenon joints and rivets, etc., things like that there. And I see no point going into the really advanced stuff until you fully understand what the basics are. Now what the overall thing with blacksmithing is understanding how steel moves under heat. Understanding how when you strike it, what does that do to the steel. If you don't understand that, when you go on to do shoulder tenons and stuff, you're trying to line everything up. One bit's over here, one bit's over there, you're trying to poke it and try and put it all in places. It's really complicated, really hard, it's very full of. You can maybe make the most beautiful artwork, you maybe be able to make beautiful pokers and rigs and all this sort of stuff. But if you don't understand how that there moves and proportions of it, you're wasting your time. Okay, so we'll talk a wee bit about that as we're doing this. Okay, just check out any messages. Right. There's probably entire fingers around here about where you are. I'm loving the names of people who have their YouTube. Okay, so that's the goal basically. So we're going to be doing something along these lines here. Okay, very simple, very basic. The important thing is we'll try and do two the same. Okay, two of these the same way. You've ever done this before? It's not straightforward as you think. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the coal. We talked a wee bit about the blowers. Also, it's helpful if you can have it is you build in a little bit of a controller for the air as well, which gives you strong air, weaker air, so you have bigger fire, smaller fire, you control all the things we talked about before. Once the fire is lit up like this, you want to get it a nice shape. You want to have a nice clean area in the middle of the fire. It's called the neutral zone. Okay. Some of these guys that have been in my classes will remember this from the very first half hour you were here. So at the base of that fire, there's like a little pit. So, and the air is coming through. And that air, what's in that air is oxygen, and that's the most important bit. That's what's making your fire go. And that hits the heat in your flames and your coal, and then it reacts, and again creates more heat, goes all the way through the fire. Now, what you want to see in your forge is you want to see flames. You want to see nice, I call it soft flames like this, okay? Where it's not blasting through, you're not seeing a steady stream through. In a gas forge, what you want to see is again these flames as well, kind of yellowy flames coming through. They call it, in YouTube and all of this, they call that dragon fire, or dragon breath. But basically what it is the air burning outside of the fire, because it's so hot within it, it's actually burning the oxygen outside of the fire. Okay? So that's what you want to see. You want to see the oxygen, you don't want to see it, but you want to have the oxygen burn off at the bottom. You're going to create a nice heat. And then the flames you see at the top here are a mixture of the heat, burning the oxygen in the air, and the sulfur and the nasty stuff coming off of the coal and burning itself out. When you have a fire like that, you can see it, a nice kind of like squished rumpy ball type shape. That's a perfect fire for forging with. Okay? You always want to try and maintain that. The one of the things we try and do here in Hot Belt Forge is I'm very, very particular about everybody having their own forge, having their own anvil, having their own gear, having their own hammers, so they can actually learn, so they can have their own little station to work with. There is other places you can go across the UK and Ireland and learn blacksmithing, but 9 times out of 10 is a blacksmith who's opened up his forge for the day and you're sharing a forge and you're sharing an anvil. It's still a great experience. You get my blacksmith is small regardless where you do it, but you're not learning the same. And managing your fire is really, really important. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw these bars out. I'm going to take, let's say about 6 inches of these bars, which if you're in a metric system is 160 millimeters roughly per day. And we're going to draw them out. Now if you know what that terminology means, that basically means you hammer it down into a big long point, like a squished out pyramid. Okay? Now, classically what a lot of people do when they're drawing a bar out, they've never done that blacksmithing before, is they hit very randomly all over the place and start rounding it for no particular reason, because it just feels natural to do. Now what we're trying to do here, trying to emphasize today, is try to get the basics done. So we want to draw this bar down when it's nice and tight, we want them both to be uniform. So the way you learn how to do this is you keep it on the square. Okay? Just going to check out more smart comments. Thickness and steel that I use for the next thing. That's quite easy to turn into a bladesmithing class. but we'll leave that hopefully for weeks to come. I can't remember. So 30 mil by 4, I think. But it varies. You know, if you're making a large like French chef knife or something, it'll give you something bigger, something wider. If you're making a stack for Damascus, try to get it as close to uniform as you can, because it makes the whole process easier. What we did in the class, I think, off the top of my head, was 4 mil by 30. But we've got here, you can see, check. Yeah, 4 mil. 35, no, 30. You can get it from ground flat stock supplies. Okay, so back to drawing down the bar. So, if we're going to take 3 inches, another 3 inches 6. So why am I using those measurements? Well, basically, you see I have a ruler there, but you've also a ruler in your anvil. So if you've got an anvil at home, you're fortunate enough to have one, you have little bits of measurements all the way around your anvil. For example, there to there is 3 inches, there to there is 1.5 inches, etc., etc. Okay, so if you're in a hurry and you're trying to measure things out, remember that. Okay, so you're doing uniform thicknesses and uniform cuts and stuff like that. Use your anvil. Usually things around you, you know. And sometimes it's a quick way to do a cut or whatnot. So what we're going to do here is we're going to mark these out. So there's 3 inches. Bring that to the end. There's another one. Okay, now we're going to put another one here. 3 inches. And another one. 3 inches. Okay. Now, if any of you guys have been in my classes and you're wondering, hey, you didn't do that when I was here. Well, you have to remember some of these classes, guys, I want this to be an experience. Okay, I want you guys to get the hammer correctly, heat the spotter correctly, doing all these things. You can bombard people with too much information, and it can just blow your mind and just gets too much. So we do it step by step by step, and then you'll notice if you remember from the classes, as the classes go on, I kind of insert in these little wee bits of information so you can get it. But because it's just me rambling on here, I'll take you through a more detailed version of it. Okay. Make a wee mark where this piece of chalk is, because when you put the chalk in the fire, it's going to disappear. What happened there is there was an old punch there that somebody in the class used a little bit too long on a piece of hot steel and it lost its hardness. So since I hit it once, it kind of lost its little mark. So I'm just going to use this one here. I don't know if you guys can see this, or it's a little blurry, but you can see a little mark there. Hold there for a second. Just there. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so so I put that piece of steel nice and flat into the nice clean area, the nice neutral zone of the fire. Give a wee second. Okay, so now teaching the class, what I tend to do is, first thing is how to hold a hammer. Okay, so how do we hold a hammer? Well, you're probably thinking it is, well, I know how to swing a hammer, I know how to hold a hammer. You know, you put your thumb there, you don't choke it. You put this here. Okay, that's all right if you're driving a nail into a wall. But if you're consistently over and over again doing that on your thumb, it's not a good thing. Okay, so I actually bought all these French designed crossbeam hammers many moons ago, and one of the reasons I like them is because they have the handles, a little curve here, a little curve here. It actually tells you where to hold the hammer. By holding it between half and 3/4 of the way down, what that does, that means when you're swinging, you don't really have to adjust too much. If you're going here, the arse has to go back, you have to go further away from it, and then you need to swing. Yeah. Okay, so what you like to do when you set up to the anvil, you want it to be a right angle to draw on a bar out. Okay? When I'm teaching the class, I like people to start off here. So I'll start off doing that, but to be honest with you, I'll get bored for it quickly and I'll end up using this bit, or just doing that and doing that. Now what you're looking for in the fire, one thing you're not looking for is you're not looking for sparks. Sparks is a different thing altogether. When you get sparks, sometimes you want that when you fire well, you want a controlled version of that. But what's happening is at that point is the bits are just melting off and reacting with the air and creating sparks. You want to see a nice bright light coming off the steel. Something like that. Can you see that? I'm fully aware when you look at things online, the light and all that completely messes with you. Okay, so when you see some guy doing online, it's very hard to judge the colours. So a good way to judge for you at home if your steel's at the right temperature, particularly if you're forging outside, is to buy yourself a little magnet or a big hammer. And the point is, when the steel is no longer magnetic, if you're running a magnet along it, it'll no longer stick. Just slide straight off it. And then, you know, if you're new to it, burn a few pieces of steel and see. Well, I mean burn it. Let the sparks fly out of it. So you know what's too high, and then you know what's too low because it gets magnetic again. So then you can judge somewhere in the middle. That's the temperature you want to maintain. Okay. You see the colour there. Okay. So line yourself up nice and square. And we'll start hammering out. Blackness start to come into it, then you stop, slide back in again. Okay, so check. Well, with this count for a metalwork class with the kids, it's entirely up to you, man. If you are broadcast this to your kids, you can do, but technically I've put it as over 18s on the wee ratings because I'm prone to swearing and whatnot, so don't want anybody complaining about that. So, also, I know some of the guys have been in the classes and stuff, and some of the chat content might not be the best. It's all been great so far. Okay. You know, at this point, I'm only showing you that because that's what I encourage you to do. Because if you're doing this yourself at home, you want to keep it on the flat. Because what you don't want to do is for the steel to start to roll, to start to create little cold shocks when you fold the steel over itself, causing it to twist. Because the bit I'm going to do now is a lot of trickier to do. If you've never done it before, okay? If you haven't been smithing for a while. And that's drawing the bar down on the pick of the horn, what do you want to call it? And I draw a line down the middle here because what is the highest point of the pick? Now if you think about the pick, it's kind of like this shape. So if you're setting the steel on here, it's going to move the steel that way and that way more efficiently. It's a lot less tidy than doing it on this, but it moves things better. Back on flat the anvil just to tidy it up, okay? Now at this stage, if you're doing two the same, you only do a little bit of one. And you want to go over to the other one and do a little bit of that and catch them up, try to get them both the same. And the temptation is, to say if you're doing like a little fireside set, for example, they all have the same little roll or whatever at the end. The temptation is to finish one, then go to the next one, finish one, then go to the next one. You know, just gradually work your way until they're all uniform. So, for example, if you go a little bit too far, and this one is more than you meant to, well, then you do the same with this other one, and then it's back and forth. So you end up with something that's uniform. Okay, very important. Davis. Posture is really, really important when you're drawing the bar out consistently over and over again. A lot of you've probably heard the story before, you've been here before, the guy who taught me, the guy called Bob Rose. Bit of a legend, but he had a Poland hammer technique, okay? So have you ever met him, he used to lead like this, and that's because he was, and you'll see me automatically, I'll jump into doing the same thing, because that's the way it's taught. You do like this, back over like that, then with a hammer. It feels very natural for me to do it that way. So, and that's because of his posture, because of the way he was standing. He started to develop his shoulders here. So, fortunately, when I was over at Coldhammer Forge, and I got to meet a lot of blacksmiths, a lot of professional blacksmiths. Bob was secretary of the BABA at the time. You know what that is? That's the British Irish Blacksmith Association. So he knew nearly everybody who was a smith in the world, nearly. Unreal. So I got to meet a lot of them, and I got to see them a lot of them smith. And they were all kind of different to an extent, but like the kind of uniform way was keep your back nice and straight as long as you can, okay? Now if you're drawing a bar out a lot, then you might develop a point where you're swapping hands and I find that quite tricky, so I don't want to demo it. But if you're doing it a lot over and over again, all you should be developing then is really these muscles here, back and forward, and a wee bit right here, okay? That way you avoid back strain, neck strain, all that sort of stuff. Also a lot of it with the grip as well. You also notice I don't have any thumbs like that. Grip it like so. It feels weird, but that's soft, the grip, using a hammer to move the steel is better than trying to do it with your thumb, okay? Oh, gee. If you're online, say hi, okay? Basically, if you've been to one of the classes, it'd be nice to hear you check in, see you're all doing okay. it's not only because I'm a wee bit tired, it's also because when the steel's softer, it moves quicker. Okay, so yeah, you can hammer it a little bit longer to that transition point. Remember talking about the magnet, but to do so, you're just giving yourself work. So one of the things I constantly do in my weekend courses, and particularly the new people, is so I'm constantly going along the line of my forwards and going, that's too hot, put it back, or sorry, that's too cold, put it back in the fire. That's too cold, put it back in the fire. It's not necessarily too cold, i.e. you're damaging it, but you know, if it's not soft, you're hammering it, you're just going to be knackered the whole time because you're not actually going to be moving much steel. Okay. What I'm making, Kevin, is I'm just going to make just a couple of simple little pokers and rakes. So that's cool. The idea being is they're both going to be exactly the same, and like the reasons why you always start with the basics. In regards to James's, I think I have it here. Let's see. So you see it, James? Yeah, all good. Let me see. It's the same thing, James. This is for James only. Same thing we discussed on the night is because we had the blocks like this in the Damascus, because we tried to fire weld them that way, they didn't really have a chance to bond the same the other way. So what we should really have done is fire weld them down that way, if that makes sense, so they're going to spread out into each other a wee bit more. So what we're finding here, there is some cracks, 1, 2, 3 there, and one there. 3/4 of it seems fine. What I'd be tempted to do though, James, to be honest with you, is maybe restack it again and try and fire weld it down that way. And then hopefully that'll clear out those wee cracks, because the last thing I want to do now is just kind of keep going and chase it, and then you end up having those wee hairline cracks with it. So yeah, it's kind of, yeah, well, 75%, 100% great, well, 25%. Okay. And James, I'll leave it to you on the chat function to explain what your processes were. Talk about bullshit to see what's doing there. Could be wrong. Because that's the way I was taught. I just kind of fall back into those habits so easily. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to just change my hammer now. So I'm going to change the line of hammer. By doing that, what you can do, you can be a little less deliberate. When you're using a bigger hammer, yeah, it can be equally as accurate, but I'm like so scared it's going to be off a little bit and cause it to twist. So When you do a wee man's job, you get a wee man to do it. It's going on fantastic, guys, when it's done. Hopefully it's not too long. Unless it gets over this. Too stinky, guys. Get in there. Any touches? Now what I did there when I was looking down it, I was looking at the mark I left with the wee hole punch, looking at the distance between the two, and then I was lining up both the back mark and the tip and just seeing how each moved. Okay, and then at this point, it's really judging it by eye. We need to squeeze a little bit more here, we need to squeeze a little bit more there. And so, you know, want a nice long taper, but I want to kind of have control so it's both uniform. All Thursday night, the knitting club or sewing club is on Thursday night we have 3 or 4 fellas who are just mad into the knives and want to make knives. So the first 10-15 minutes of the class, we're just sitting there chatting about knives and, you know, different techniques and have you seen this, have you seen that. So it's just it's a really nice social thing. It's honestly it's one of the things I really miss not doing having the class, you've not seen these guys' faces and that. It's just a crack and a banter. Well, not my wife is fantastic, we must brilliant, but chatting about knives and blades and chatting about blacksmithing, she's done that. Longer than the other. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, guys, is just trying to get them nice and even. So one's about half an inch longer than the other, so I'm just going to squeeze it out. So if you have any questions, ask away, guys. A lot less bullshit on ours than there is in Forge and Fire. Well, thank James there, he actually made a knife out of a bit of scrap at the time. So it's kind of got a wee bit of Forge and Fire. Times. It's not something I encourage. Close. Have a look at it. There you go. Bang on. One go. Okay, what we're going to do now, they're bang on the same length. You line up the two wee marks. Bang on. However, looking at it, well, they get a little bit finer at the end, just so the scroll's a wee bit nicer. Okay, so if you're ever doing a scroll, guys, always make sure you have it tapered. Make sure you have it tapered nice and fine and nice and tidy. Because you think about it, scroll, I don't know if you can see this, but it's gradually gets wider as it goes out. Okay? So if you're throwing out bar, or your bar in general, is either uniform or up and down, and it's very hard to get that scroll correct. However, if there is a lovely fine transition to your point, the scrolling bit actually becomes so much easier, almost comes intuitive, because it kind of still follows its shape into the nice open scroll. Okay. Who's Moondog 1970? I think it'd be appropriate for Norman, that's his name. And its name, let me save it. Oh, hey Neil, how's it going? If any of these guys follow me on Instagram, if you go a couple of posts back, you'll see that little dragon bottle opener. That's the one that Nick's talked about there, or Moondog 1970. And he made that a few weeks ago from the evening class. So you've no idea what these guys are talking about. Neil made a few dragons before he finished the last one, and one of them we were only joking. Didn't really mean it, Neil. Looked a little bit like Cyril Sneed. You don't remember him. You finish with me on YouTube. You can go and look for what's it, the raccoon? What do you call them? Raccoons. Somebody have to hear. You don't know. Lads, if I was only making one of these, I would have had this poker on about 10-15 minutes ago. It's just because I want to demonstrate trying to get to the same. I might try this. I might try it can be. There we go, bang on. Right, excellent. So between me knots is there, and then you line up lovely at the end. Okay. So I'm just going to run down this one here again, just take up a few wee bumps, and then I'm going to take the corners off it. Right. You've been here before, and you've made a poker, or you've done anything with me before, you'll hear me say, when we go to round the bar, I never say round the bar. Okay, I always say turn the 4 sides into 8. Okay? Turn it into octagonal. So 4 corners. And then once you have those 8 equal sides, then you try and take those corners off again. It's more of an aspiration sometimes in demand when you're just learning, but the better you get at it, the smoother and tighter they are. What that lends itself towards is when you're doing this here, you've done a few of these, it encourages control of your hammer, understanding the distortion of the steel, understand how it moves. So also, if your hammer technique's that wee bit tighter and cleaner, it means you're not going to round it and create cold shots, create twists where you don't want to. You're more control of what you're doing. Okay? TV shows at raccoons, is it raccoons? Thanks, Dave. Louis, if you've made your forge, can you send me a photo of it? Maybe you can stick it up on the Facebook page, and maybe you can share it with everybody else to see what it looks like, see how you go on. So when I'm taking the corners off, I always start at the tip. You can also notice I'm using a smaller hammer. It's the same logic as before. You're doing a wee man's job, you get a wee man to do it. Trying to create 8 equal sides and avoid rolling and twisting. Okay, the more you do it, the better you get at it. If you rush it, somebody said they have a propane forge then. I've people obviously gas forge in there as well. Pros and cons of many different forges. We have coal forges here for a number of reasons. One, they're the cheapest to run, the easiest to make if you have the space. Makes our classes aren't crazy prices. You have pros, you have cons. Gas forges are good. And I'll do everything we're doing here, just do it a little bit slower because it takes a wee while to get up to heat. They have other advantages as well. Mainly you can see what you're doing. Normal railway. Main disadvantage is, as I say, it's expensive to run the gas. It's handy to pack away. To be frank with these guys, there'll come a time when we'll not be able to use coal forges, you know that. And that's right. When we get there eventually. And eventually the gas will go the same way. So, if you can, and if you have a way of looking at it and your space is limited, maybe look at an induction forge. Would be the way to go. I'll be getting one in here hopefully in the next few months. More out of curiosity than anything else, but it is probably the way we'll end up going here. But probably adding 3-phase electricity into one airline forges. That way, it's very, very heavy and electric. At this stage, when I take it out of the fire, I cannot see the lines. So well, I can kind of trust how it feels against the anvil and kind of go, well, that's on the flat, that's kind of not. Also, well, there's like a fine line between this point, hitting it when it's too cold, and then being able to see your lines and tie it up. I do have a screen here with all your chat conversations, but I have to keep walking them back over to there and back and forth to see it. My setup is very, very ropey. I've got my laptop right beside the window because my internet expander is not working properly. So I can't get it any closer, so I'm trying to get the signal from the house going through the window. That's the only place in the forge you can get it. I've got a webcam there, it's probably about 10-15 years old, so that's probably why the picture's so ropey. I have new gear coming, so if I do this again, it'll be a lot better. How'd you do that in the washing machine? Is that like the drum? Did you make it out of? Must have put sand in the bottom or something like that. It was probably all burnt through. That's not very good. Okay. Sorry, things are a funny thing. Hello, people. It's more of my usual class. So. Guys, you are watching online and you have been in my classes before, say hello. Good to hear from you. So know you're all safe and all doing good. Okay, so both round it, I think. Let's check. Yeah, it's pretty much bang on, guys. Okay, so all nicely round, all nicely drawn out uniformly. And that's kind of, you know, if you're doing like a set of railings, for example, or even like a small gate, and you wanted them all to be uniform and all that air, all to have like a pattern, it's important to kind of work through those processes. And you notice what I did there, a little bit of one, a little bit of one, a little bit of one. And that's what it is, guys. It's just kind of, you know, there's no rocket science to it. And the more you can do these type of things, the more it'll help you when you go on to do some more blacksmith joinery, really advanced stuff. I can't emphasize that enough. Understand how steel distorts is really important. Okay? So, the steel can distort when you're cooling them down, so it can be shorter or longer depending on how you do it. Steel will move more or less depending on how hot it is, how cold it is, so it'll distort. You know, so how hard you hit it, all these things come into it. So realizing that and observing what you do as you learn creates a little bit of muscle memory in your brain as well, so you're able to actually react every time you have a problem in front of you. So when you do try these more advanced joinery techniques, it's very straightforward. It's not freezing your brain, you know. And always remember, if you do want to do this, like I said, hot milk forge, just do a little bit at a time, okay? You know, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Understand what you're doing. You know, try and do everything uniformly. You don't mean just everything looks uniformly. Try and get your heats all the same. Try and get the rhythm of what you're doing the same. Heat it up the same amount. Pull it down the same amount. Try and get your time is correct. All these things, once you get into a rhythm and a way of working, helps you, okay? Because if you come to Hot Milk Forge, you'll always hear music playing. And that's one of the main reasons I love music. I love listening to it, and I love kind of sharing it with people in the class. But it's also, I think, kind of subconscious ways. I want to kind of give that rhythm to people in the class. So when they're kind of, as they're learning blacksmithing, as they're evolving their techniques, as they're trying to do things repetitively, they have a rhythm to that, and that helps that process. It's very, very important in blacksmith to do that. Just a little subtle thing I do, I don't know if these guys are aware of. And the main reason is I love music, I'll share. Hey guys, so what we're going to do now, we're going to start doing a lot of scrolls, okay? So, you can't start your scroll small enough, okay? So, you can't really see that just so far. But, I've just done the tiniest of tiny little scrolls. You're stuck in maybe 3 more. So I'll bring up the camera, I have no idea if these guys will see this. So you can see that. Hold it in one place, hopefully that'll become. For proportion wise, you can kind of see the size, okay? That's how tight it can be. Always aspire to do that. Don't take shortcuts, don't just kind of whack it out flat and try and fold it around. Have it nice and clean, smooth, and transition into a point. Start it nice and tight, and you'll see this makes the scrolls out a wee bit better. Turn that whole list 2 or 3 times, and then we'll flip over to do the whole. Try that again. I have no idea if these guys are seeing this or not. Can you see that? Let me know if you can see that. So I'm going to try and make the other one look exactly the same thing. Right, okay, there's a few things there. Yeah, Ethernet cable, that's actually a really good idea. We actually take maybe something to consider. The reason I didn't do it today is because I have a landline expander thing, which usually works brilliant. And for whatever reason, it's just still working today. Honestly, it's not very reliable anyway, so we'll probably end up doing something similar anyway. But yeah, the Ethernet cable is a good idea actually. If I do this again, hopefully I will. Okay, so knock it down, make me scroll, knock it back, tuck it in. Now the process in there is knocking it down, make a wee curve, knocking it back, tuck it in, knock it down, knock it back, tuck it in. So, tighter, tighter. Because it's so thin, it cools down really quickly, so the temptation is to just keep hammering it. And when it's that fine, it's very easy just to get overwork it and make it snap. That is like pin thickness. There's something else there. What type of hammer should you get? Do you know what? It's really just down to what you're comfortable using. You've tried a few great, each their own. So most of the ones I use here, like a French design crossbeam, always go for a crossbeam if you can get them, okay? Because when you're painting the bar and distorting the move and stay out, the crossbeam is really good for that, and it's used a lot. It's a good uniform tool. But if you're just starting out, man, you can get like the wee ball pins. That's like a ball pin there. You can get them from any hardware store. And that'll get you started. If you don't like the handle, we'll reshape the handle. Go from there. Also, if you can't, I get these bad boys here from Germany, like delivered to the door, but they're €40, okay? 30, €40 or so. So that's about rich for you, or you want a project for you to do. Get a ball peen, then hammer that out flat. Do the whole hardening temper process, and give yourself a handle you like. Okay, that's the way around it. But again, it's down to personal preference. What I would get like a fairly light one like that, and we'll get something maybe about 1 kilo, and then maybe one at 1.5. But that's the big but. There's no right or wrong. Okay, every smith has his hammer. There's ones I prefer in the forge, and there's like some of the guys in the class look at it with don't like that. Well, there's a Swedish one there as well, which I think is a horrible hammer. But again, some of the guys in the class just love the weight and the balance and all that. So my advice to you is just start off cheap and cheerful. Maybe go down to the hardware store and get a couple of these wee ball pins. Once you get your confidence up, maybe adjust a few, maybe buy one, which is a cross pin, and then evolve from there. No right or wrong, really. So now you guys can see that. We're getting there. We're relatively the same. Not far off. Getting there. So what I'll do with this here, I'll keep bringing it in, but I'll tighten it so we'll kind of open up a little bit. And technique wise, guys, what I always say is I could show you one way. If you went down to the road to another blacksmith, he could show you a completely different way of doing the same thing. So a lot of things is kind of intuitive, a lot of things are what you find easier to do, and that's craft in a nutshell. It doesn't matter if you're throwing a pot, blowing glass, kiln form glass, wood turning, whatever. You'll have little subtleties which you will develop yourself. Okay. But as long as you have a good ground and core techniques of blacksmithing, that's really, really important. If you have a good ground, and then what you have from there is you have the ability then to kind of adjust and adapt. So, the worst thing you could, it's not the worst thing, but what will not help you is, because this is on YouTube, watching lots of YouTube videos and hoping and expecting that you'll learn everything you need from that. Now, the reason I'm doing this here is just really keep in contact with these guys and checking on this and a bit of fun, a bit of crack, and also to break up my week, to be honest with you. But when you're learning, okay, you can only go so far on your own. You need every now and then, you need to be able to have somebody say to you, yeah, that's great, but you need to do this. Maybe adjust your technique, adjust how you stand, for example, how you hold the hammer. Look at the way you're managing the fire. There's a lot of information there when you get the basics in. You can really evolve from there. Thanks, Aaron. Here, good luck. Stay safe, mate. Good to hear from you. Yeah, James, or Crazy Cook. That's where I get my hammers. When you stop that wee bit wrong, I shouldn't be criticising you being dyslexic, but me being dyslexic. A-N-G-E-L-E. So you spell it. So if you Google that there, that's where I get most of my hammers as well. Okay guys, so Now just a wee thought. Now if you create things that are relatively uniform, it gives you options. Okay? So at the minute I'm going to turn this into like a little shepherd's crook both ways. But if you were trying to make like a set of gates or something along those lines, you know, you can make lots of these all the same, all uniform, and then you can adjust them, move them, make different shapes, different forms, different angles. You know, because that's what pattern making is. And that's if you think about like a big gate, okay? You think about a big gate like it's a big rectangle. It's like a blank canvas, and you can create different patterns throughout it. And when you're able to do these sort of things, where you do things uniformly, you know, that just kind of opens up a whole world of blacksmith joinery to you. Kind of helps you create your design, your mark when you're doing blacksmithing. That's right, Luke. We'll do a little bit more, and we'll bring it around. Okay. So guys, there's some of you guys there just lurking, kind of watching, without commenting. That's fine, it's not a problem. But do me one wee favour, just subscribe to sounds like all those other YouTubers, like subscribe, hit the bell, all that sort of crap. All my goal is at the minute to get over 100 subscribers. If we get over 100 subscribers, then the whole point of my ability to broadcast, my ability to do things just makes it so much easier. Okay? So I can add various things along the way. You know what just did, guys? I daydreamed. You know what's the difference? So this is a what not to do moment. You see? You see what's missing? No sparks, no nothing. Ah! Okay, so I'm going to broadcast that, I'm going to edit that out. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll quickly finish this. Jesus. Fucking hell. See that? Okay, so we're just going to quickly finish that off. What happened there, guys, if you missed that? Trying to do too many things in my head at once there, and I just put it in the fire for maybe 10-15 seconds too long, and the steam just burnt and fell off. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this other one here, and then you can imagine too often. Oh, here. For all you my regulars who watch this here, you're probably wetting yourself laughing right now, and rightly so. This is all the other YouTubers don't do live stuff. This is why they record all their videos. In case this happens. Well, if it makes you guys feel better, like that's all about back comedy. Lord, that's embarrassing. So basically what we are pretending didn't happen. Let's move on, okay? So what I did is just kind of whip that around, tuck that in here. So what I'm going to do here, just going to bring it around back onto the square. Okay, so should be two of them. Get there good. Alright guys, poker or rake? I've only one of them now. I'm only going to do one of them. Poker or rake, guys? What do you think? First one to say. B&Q closed in Ballymena recently. Take a rake. Here. So usually what I do when there's mistakes happen in the forge, not reach from or stuff that's been left over, as you can see I kind of weld into the forge. I'd actually plan to kind of display these on here, so I'm going to display the mistakes too, don't you worry about that. Oh, lads, I didn't burn off. It's sheared off. The work stress. There's no sparks like. What's worse, the work stress or something that's burnt off. It didn't feel like a burnt off, it didn't feel like the time was at all. I don't know if you guys can see that. But usually when you burn something, as some of you are aware, it's all kind of crumbly around where it burnt. You see there, it's just kind of like put off. Very clean, very square. So it makes me think then as we've got work stress to it. No. Indian up there, those place. Guys, I'm probably about 5-10 minutes away from being finished now because only have one left to do. So if you have any questions you think I can answer for you, feel free to ask them now. Now's the time to do it. Take the hardness off the edge as and when I can. This makes it always look better for Smith. Made in a factory or you can buy from B&Q or home base or something like that. Okay. So in there. Okay. Flatten that out. You can see all the corners. Okay, so you see it so far? And then we'll just do a wee twist. Not really do this. Okay, so at the minute I can't really see the vices. So I need to kind of move that around until I can fit this through. Okay, so bear with me. I'm not sure. I've heard a few different versions of the answer to that. You know, I'm not quite sure what a coronavirus lives on it. I think the 12 hours from memory. Okay, so you can see that pretty well then, can't we? Good stuff. Right. Okay. thing about a twist is, at its core, it's very, very simple. You just need straight edges, heat, twist. The longer the twist, the longer the twist is going to be. The shorter the twist, the tighter it's going to be. The higher the heat, the tighter it's going to be. So all these things kind of come into it. So again, it's back to that thing I was trying to demonstrate earlier on. We bit this, we bit that, we bit this. Trying to be as uniform as you can. Be trying to get a uniform twist throughout. Okay, so. But just for pure demo purposes, all I want to do is heat this up and twist it. On the tool treasure hunt again, guys. Oh, there it is. See all this? When you're putting this in here, always try and twist, keep it straight, okay? So you can do this with the side, whatever. You can use different tools to this too, but adjustable spanner is always pretty handy. And just go around. Put it back where you find it. Like that. Okay, fine. That's not too bad, it's fairly straight, but just in case it's not, you always like a joiner would, you look down the line up front of me, count the kinks. No, I prefer to use like a leather hammer. You can use a wood mallet too. But do the hammer against piece of wood. I'm trying to straighten a twist. There you go, gents. No ladies. Didn't hear any ladies commenting, so okay, so it's going to cool down. Maybe Mission Impossible, maybe like Catch the Pigeon or something like that there, maybe where Benny Hill, maybe. Hey guys, there we have it. You can see that, so bring it a little bit closer. Come to the screen. Right there, okay, good idea. Ideally we'd had another one there with a poker. You know what happened, okay. So I'm going to stay online for another 5-10 minutes or so. If you've got any questions, tear away. If not, if you have been here before, I'd love to hear from you, so make sure you're all safe and all doing well. Other than that, guys, that's the last unfortunate. Still here, guys. Thanks, James. You know I got a song stuck in my head now. Thanks for that, mate. Just check on Facebook, see if anybody's asked any questions on that, guys. So just give me 2 minutes. So, no questions on Facebook, but somebody did say I've got 100 subscribers, so yay, for me. What that means is hopefully it's going to be a little bit more professional thing next week. So I have no idea what I'm doing next week. I haven't a clue. We'll do it again. We'll try and break up the week on a Wednesday and do something smithy orientated, maybe bladesmith, blacksmith, whatever. Hopefully a lot less mistakes. So also maybe you can do a tour of the studio as well, look at the sculptures and stuff like that if you're interested as well. Regardless, guys, when you just leave me a wee message and say, you know, what do you think? Be nice. You know, what would you like to see? Is there something that's kind of itching at you you'd love to know that you can't find in any of the forums? I'll try my best to answer it as best I can. Or if it's something specific. Other than that, what in my head, what I'm kind of doing is just gradually make things a little bit more content. Maybe next week we'll talk about. Let's face it, guys, we're going to go a little bit stir crazy in the next few weeks, and we'll be drinking it a little bit more and more and more. So why not get a poker, the bottle opener this time? So that's a technique on its own. And again, it's all about understanding the distortion of steam and stuff like that as well. So maybe we'll do something like fancier twists or whatever. But if you have any ideas, I'm open to it. This is just what I have vaguely in my head. So other than that, guys, thank you. This has really, you know, broke up my week and helped me as well as much as it helped you. It's great to hear from some of the guys and regulars in the evening classes. Hope these guys are all safe and doing well. And hopefully I'll see you sooner rather than later. All the best.